conflicts do not break out like they used to in the old world. In World War II, you would just see troops spilling across the border, war happening, missiles and bombs and aircraft crossing borders, tanks going in. Like, that's the traditional way of fighting conflicts. But nowadays, because we have so much more technological advancements, because geopolitics has become significantly more complicated with the advent of guarantor organizations like NATO, the United Nations, and geodiplomacy, and especially with online diplomacy, like tech diplomacy. We're not looking at things where it's like conflicts are going to break out when tanks spill across the border and all this stuff happens. That's just not how it works anymore. That's not the modern world. The modern world, conflict is based off of low-intensity skirmishes, rockets, the internet, and cyber warfare, and especially it has to do with gray zone warfare. Gray zone warfare is perhaps the biggest. It encompasses generally everything that I'm talking about here, which is conflicts are not fought in this massive, sprawling battlefield where armies, like, you literally butcher each other for territory. That's not the way war is fought anymore. War is fought in the opinion realm. War is fought in the let's keep this as far away from conflict as possible realm. That's where war is fought. And in some cases, war is fought in diplomatic back channels, in negotiation chambers. In some cases, it's fought in cities where rockets are falling. In some cases, it's fought by terrorist factions or non-state actors who carry out certain attacks in order to achieve their ends. That's the way modern warfare works. Modern warfare is not like tanks crossing borders and aircraft bombing cities. That's the old way of doing things. That's the old world. Very rarely will you see those kind of conflicts breaking out. The only few exceptions I would say would be Russia, Ukraine, the Iraq War in 2003, Afghanistan in 2001, and Yugoslavia. Those are the only cases in the modern world in which I would say, yeah, you have like a very traditional way of fighting conflicts. Of course, with the introduction of modern technology and, guided weapons and cyber warfare and, advanced weapons and new military doctrine, such as driving around Bosnia, that kind of stuff, that's a bit of an exception. But when we're talking about conflict today, especially a conflict as fragile, that's the key word here, fragile as Israel-Hamas, it's very, very important that countries that are trying to oppose Israel or countries that are trying to do this kind of conflict, especially with the United States as a guarantor of Israel, they cannot take such giant actions, such significantly escalatory actions. It would risk causing a larger conflict that would result in millions of bloodshed, lots of treasury lost, leadership deposed, and generally a situation that would result in a situation worse than when the war began. And that's a function of just war theory. Just war theory, part of it is a country can go to war if the situation will be better for the country if they were to be victorious in the war. That's the main condition of just war theory, is that, a conflict will be won and the situation will be better for the warring parties. It'll turn out better. In this case, if Hezbollah were to just throw themselves into the fray, they would probably capture a couple of border towns. They'd probably kill a couple hundred Israelis, but they would ultimately get pushed out. Lebanon would be deposed. And then we have an open northern campaign for Israel to go into Syria and depose Syria. And then we have a Middle East that's effectively Zog. So Hezbollah is really the linchpin here. Hezbollah has to do a balance. There's a balance between we're trying to depose Zionism, we're trying to fight against Zionism, and then there's a balance of we're trying to prevent Zionism from taking over Lebanon and then going into Syria. So, it has to go between the scales. It has to do something that results in a better condition for the Muslim world as a whole and for the destruction of Israel, and other stuff approximating that. It cannot really just throw itself into open conflict and expect itself to do better. That's just not how it works these days.
Silver, the most trusted name in news.